touching it. See if it's safe.
Oh, now Brian's gonna hang on the trash.
Here he comes. Let's Brian get up and the cow climb down.
What are you doing?
What is happening, people? It is Brian Alsruhe, Oneset.com, and today I have a beautiful assistant. Not the Jeff. Jeff, I'm sorry, you were beautiful too, but I didn't marry you.
He married me.
Touche, Nick. Yes, yeah, Chris O'Donnell.
I get that, and I get, the other one I get is, Green Lantern.
Who's Green Lantern?
I thought he was.
But I am here with my beautiful wife, Elena, who is absolutely the #1 person that I know that is short and able to do stones. So today what we're gonna be talking about is strongman hard for a shorter person, and are there things that you can do to be better? First off, let me explain. I am 6 foot tall, so I'm like average for a 231 strongman. There's a lot of people taller than me. There's some people who are shorter than me, but I'm right about in the middle. However, if you're a 150-pound male or you're a 100-pound woman, most likely your heights are going to be a little bit higher in competition. Now, for the Oneset class, we tried to adjust that by making the lightweight categories with a lower bar, so that it was easier for you guys, because we're assuming that most of you are shorter. If you are 150 pounds and you're 6'2", you're probably just really skinny, which is going to make you good at strongman anyway, and this video is not for you. But who it is for are people like my beautiful wife, who are a little bit vertically challenged. And so what actually we're gonna talk about today is she wins just about every single stone event that she gets involved in. So she's gonna go over a couple tips that will hopefully help you guys, whether you're involved in the Oneset Classic or you have some other competition coming up. If you're a little bit shorter, it is not a disadvantage. In strongman, a lot of being short is actually an advantage in a lot of things, like a car deadlift. Those handles are fixed. So for some people, if they're shorter, that's almost like a rack pull, as opposed to if you're Brian Shaw and you're 7 foot tall, that's a deficit, you know what I mean? So if you're shorter, don't get upset about it. There's gonna be some events that are gonna help you, and some events that being shorter is gonna hurt you. Like on the stones, there is going to be, the pick is going to be a little bit easier if you're shorter, but the load's gonna be harder. If you're my height, there's a 44-inch bar. If you're my height and you can't load a stone over this height, there might be something very wrong with you. But if you're Elena's height, as you can see, that's almost halfway up her body. So this is already a challenging height. That's about where a normal 52-inch bar is for me. When we move over here to a 48-inch bar, you guys can already see the difference in height, just moving up a little bit. And then this is standard 52, which is a lot of times which Elena, like at national championships, things like that, she's asked to load stones and kegs over a height this high, and she stands next to it. She's actually got her lifters on. But with her lifters on, you're already looking at her shoulder height, okay? So there's things that need to be done differently that you cannot do the same as if you were a tall individual. And so you're gonna go over those today, right?
Right.
It's gonna be great.
Hi, I'm Elena. I've been training for about 15 years, but only 4 years in strongman. Learned a little bit from this guy, Brian, but today I'm gonna teach him what to do if you are short. I'm about 5'1", and
maybe 5'1"
with my lifters. And so Brian, the first thing you're gonna do is you're going to have fun with doing stones. They're my absolute favorite strongman event. So that helps if you like it.
I like stones.
Good. Okay. So straddle the stone.
Yep.
All right. So basically, you want to make sure that your feet are lined up with the middle of the stone.
All right. So I've been lining up the equator of the stone with kind of my ankle bone to the middle of my foot.
Absolutely.
Because if I stand back here, which is where I naturally want to pick it up, that's going to be extremely heavy because it's so far off the middle of my foot. Yes, stone's definitely rolling forward, right?
If you're up too far, stone's gonna roll backwards when you try to pick it up.
So if you go to pick a stone and it's moving around on you, you should probably adjust your feet as much as your hands.
Absolutely.
A lot of people try to adjust their hands, but sometimes the feet is actually the problem, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So next thing you're gonna do, Brian, is you're gonna come down, or take a big breath, belly breath, as you like to call it. Take a nice big belly breath, come on down, get your fingers underneath the stone as far as you can.
You got it?
All right, and then now a little trick that I like to do, just to make everything go faster, is stand up with my hips first.
You got it.
So I stand up, I roll the stone onto my knees.
Hips up.
Hips up, stone on your knees, and then huge deal, bring your foot in. Left or right, it doesn't even matter, just bring your foot in. Okay, and then what you want to do is adjust your hands.
Yup.
Ready?
Yep.
All right, so then what you're gonna do is, this is a huge important part. A lot of people sink down, kind of like you are right there,
Right.
into like a front squat position. But what I like to do is just make sure my hips are back. So when I get ready to go over, depending on whatever height it is, I'm gonna hinge backwards first, and then I'm gonna come up high.
You got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Any questions?
No.
All right. I'm afraid to put it over.
Just go for it.
All right, so then what you're gonna do after you hinge back is gonna create a lot of power, because you're gonna draw from your hamstrings, your butt, everything back there.
Yeah.
Okay, then you're gonna do what I like to call, you're going from point A back to point B forward. You're gonna go into a triple extension, which just means everything's moving forward and up high at the same time. Ready for me to go?
Yep.
Okay, ready? Oh, you are so good at this!
I'm a natural.
Yes!
I think he's done this before, guys.
I think so.
Just a
I've
hunch.
never done this before, so.
No surgery, DR.
A lot of times when people go to put the stone over the bar, they do a great job with the pick, hips up, they stand like this, right? And everyone says, crush it to your chest, crush it to your chest. Everyone's trying to crush it to their chest while their legs are far apart. And then they don't have a lot of height when they go up. So for
Right.
me, it's so important to bring your foot as far in as you can, right? Just bring it in, I don't care which foot you use. And I'm doing it mid-motion, right? So what I'm doing is when I go to pick up the stone, I'm kind of sliding it in at the same time. I'm scooting in, one hand here, and then I'm ready to go up nice and high.
Because you're a lot taller when your feet are together
Absolutely.
than you are when your feet are like this.
And also for me, it's a cue. It's a cue that something I didn't used to do at all was remember that we train so much posterior chain work, which just means you're training your hamstrings, your glutes, your lower back.
Everything back here.
Everything in the back, right? So it just cues me in. Okay, here we go. Now we're gonna use everything I tense. Just like you tense before you go to squat, it's the same thing to me. So you take everything in, and then you're ready to go. And then you're ready to do your triple extension.
Yep. Now, another important thing to note is that you can adjust where this stone is on your chest.
Yes.
So if you're in the bottom and you pull that leg in really well, and you're in a good situation, if this stone is still sitting down here,
Yeah.
when you're gonna drive, yeah, you see that space? That space is gonna get filled. You don't want that, right? So in order to change that, when you're sitting down here, you have biomechanical strength supporting the stone. So I can stay here literally until next June and nothing's gonna happen. Here, I can roll it out on my legs a little bit, and you guys see what it does to the position of the stone on my chest, right? I get it down so that my chin is right on top. Then I get my arm set, and then I crush. Because if I crush before that, I'm crushing down here, which is, that's an exercise of futility, people. Don't do that. All right, guys, so like we talked about, you need to be getting your leg in so that you're as tall as possible, because an inch makes a huge difference on a stone. For anyone who has missed a stone, when it's pushing against this bar and you're just pushing all day long, you can't get it, an inch makes a massive difference. So, bring your leg in is going to be very important, and then changing your hip position is going to be very important, because a lot of people want to front squat a stone up, meaning that they want to go from here and literally just stand up with the stone and put it over,
Okay.
which is completely fine at light weights or if you're 7 foot tall. However, if you're like myself, or especially like Elena, it needs to be a hinge. It is more of a kettlebell swing
Right.
than a front squat. So we're gonna go to a higher bar here.
Yep. So, okay, we're on 52-inch bar. I'm gonna show you the steps. But the one we're gonna focus on is a triple extension, the last part, which you'll really see on this higher bar. This 52-inch bar basically comes up to my neck. So when I'm down here with my stone and I'm looking up, it's pretty ominous for me personally. So I have to trust in my process. And the last part of that that's really important is a triple extension. And all that means is my follow through, that's how I like to think of it. So my follow through is gonna be, you're gonna see my heels, my ankles bent, my heels.
Your hips are forward.
My hips are forward.
Your back is extended.
My back's gonna be extended. So the stone, when you watch, is gonna be, I'm gonna look like this, basically.
Now, why are you a little bit further away from the bar?
So, okay, so.
Because you're shorter.
I'm a little shorter, so everybody in Strongman is gonna tell you, get closer to the bar, but actually training for nationals, I got some great advice from a girl named Rachel Pryon. She's a pro lightweight strongwoman, and she said, sometimes,
Monster.
amazing girl, right? So she said, sometimes short people get trapped under the bar. So what I like to do is, and I totally agree, because that was happening to me, so I just think about an inch back. More than most people.
Otherwise, you clip this bar every time.
Every time.
On the way up, you clip it on the way
It
up.
always hits. nice shot of the stone, get my distance, looks good. Gonna get underneath, take a deep breath, lap, foot in, close the distance, crush, hinge. Like dunking, if I ever can dunk a basketball, that is what I'm doing. For me, what really helps is to think about following through. It's like when you're running through the base as a baseball player. For some reason, that's what helps me on this. Because for a long time, I was coming up and hitting. And so one of the biggest things I think about is stone to shoulder. We do that a lot here at Never State. So just all I'm thinking about when I'm putting the stone over the bar is you got to get it to your shoulder. Because that's to me a lot harder than getting it over the bar. And I'm thinking I got to go higher than I think I am, higher than I think I need to. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to think about that right now. That made a huge difference to me training for this. So I'm going to grab a stone, stand up, put my foot in. I'm not going to stand up in front squat. I'm going to hinge back, use the power of my hips, follow through.
And if you guys notice, from point A, like if you have the stone in your hand, don't grab the stone. But if you watch her hips, when she is down in the bottom position, it's all about going from point A to point B. The more horizontal, the more force you can create horizontally, the more vertical that stone's gonna get. But if your hips are weak and loose and just lazy, and they don't move fast, you're gonna end up front squatting it, and that thing is going to be a grind the entire time. All right, so you may have two options that may or may not be allowed in your competition. You're definitely gonna wanna check this out. In the Lion State Classic, this is not allowed. Some contests, if you can get the stone up onto the bar, they will allow you to grab a hold of the yoke and use your body to shove it over. That is rarely allowed, but when it is, use that thing as much as you possibly can. If you are short, you're already at a disadvantage. You need to take advantage of every single thing that you possibly can. So if they allow it, and you can get that stone up there, grab and shove through, I would 100% recommend doing that.
Absolutely.
And then the second thing is sometimes when you're going up to your shoulder, your face gets in the way, especially when stones get bigger, okay? When you start getting around like 20, 21, 22 inch stones, when you start bringing it up to here, literally it's sitting on your nose. So for some people, twisting their head a little bit so they can get more triple extension, roll that stone further up their body, sometimes that works out better. However, some people it messes up. So
Messes me up.
you're gonna have to play with it. Do not try anything new day of contest or you'll be stupid. But if you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, just grab a lighter stone, something at like 50% of your 1 rep maximum. Try to take that thing to both shoulders and just observe what your head does. You will naturally be getting out of the way. That's exactly what you need to do if you're a shorter person trying to get a stone over a higher bar, because you're not only thinking about height of your arms and where you're lifting, you're also thinking about the circumference of the stone. So something like a keg that has a bigger circumference, you need to lift even higher, which means you need to extend further. The game changes completely with the higher this bar goes and the circumference of the stone. Diameter, circumference. I failed geometry.
Circumference.
So circadian rhythm.
All
right. They left out radius.
Diameter. Radius is halfway through, and the circumference is the total amount. But
You're a little too smart for this
There's
channel.
circumference.
You need to button it up because you're a little too smart for our channel.
another huge tip that was given to me was to train on a higher bar.
100%.
So that teaches me, I feel it back in my lower back already because of having to just triple extend like that. But if I'm going to compete as a short person, if I'm going to compete on a lower bar, I'm always going to train on a higher bar because it teaches me to just extend so much higher, and it makes like going over a smaller or shorter bar so much easier.
So to give you guys some perspective about what we're talking about, here on the 44 inch, when I'm standing next to it, it's about up to my belly button, that's about it. You can see Elena. So if Elena's training for this height for a comp, she will go to this height in practice. So if you come over here and you stand next to that, you can see the height difference, all right? This is 48, this is 52. And a lot of competitions, they start getting higher and higher. So this is pretty standard for men's strongman, is 52 inches. So when we practice it, we always practice over here at the 56. Because as you can see, then I'm starting at the same position where Elena starts on her normal stone, right? And I can say without a doubt that it is exponentially harder to go an extra 2 to 4 inches higher on the stone, because that's where you're running out of horsepower, it's where you're running out of real estate because your face getting in the way.
Okay, so just to recap on our stone day, the first thing you want to think about doing as a short person to get a little bit more of an advantage is you're going to step your foot in when you're lapping the stone. That's going to give you a lot more tight when you go over the bar. The next thing that you're gonna think about is making sure your hips are going from point A to point B. A really powerful, efficient motion. Instead of front squatting, point A to point B. And then the last thing you're gonna think about is a triple extension. You're thinking about rolling that stone up to your shoulder, higher than you wanna go. Your whole body's extending up and over.
Good.
Yeah?
Guys, these are principles that will work for every single stone. If you're doing stones, these principles will work and they will make you better at stones. However, these are especially important if you are shorter because that's when the game counts. Yeah, literally the difference between an inch in a stone game is the difference between getting a rep and not getting a rep, and that's the difference between coming in first and last.
Right.
So it's going to be very, very important for you guys to work these things. You need to play to your strengths and you need to address your weaknesses. If you're not doing that, honestly, you're not improving. So thank you so much for your help. This was so great. Guys, I will catch up with you later in the week, but until we do, go out, do something amazing, realize, keep working hard, people, be nice to each other.
And we'll see you next time.
I guess. That wasn't fair at all. So I will catch up with you guys later in the week, but until I do, guys, go out, do something amazing, realize, keep working hard.
Keep working hard!
Be nice to each other.
Oh!
So guys, I will be putting out more videos later in the week, but until I do, go out, do something amazing, realize, keep working hard.
Be nice to each other!
We'll see you then.
Brunettes are better than blondes.